we got it.
How you doing?
Hey, what's
Handsome
going
as
on?
ever.
That, I tell you what, that is one of the coolest things because we've interviewed a number of times. That's one of the beauties of living through this pandemic is that we got Zoom and we can all see each other. We're in true living color now. I love it.
That's great.
I do too.
So, thank you, gentlemen, for taking a minute out. Again, you guys have produced a stellar album. And as I've mentioned before, I'm still old school enough that when I get these albums, I put them in I have a CD player in my car and I just drive and I love it. There's something about watching the world whiz by and taking it all in auditorily that just makes sense.
I'm with you, Joe. That's how I hear. That's what I do.
We got to hold on to. I remember a PR guy at one point when the pandemic was roaring said, "Get ready for the end of CDs." Because that whole thing where people were contacting things and whatever, and they were like, "We're going to hit this place, this rendezvous, where they're just going to get rid of physical media." And of course, it never happened. And how many times have they predicted all of these things in the recording industry that never came to fruition?
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly a frustrating time for us who produce stuff because we make no money,
Yeah,
and it's just we're basically giving all our stuff away,
yeah,
and there's no option to it now. And now probably it's not going to happen in Washington to get laws now either. So anyway,
yeah.
I don't want to go there.
No, I know that there's a rabbit hole we could dive into, but again, gentlemen, thank you for taking a minute out. This is your 23rd album. It's going to kick off performances at universities. But before we get to that point, so you guys have produced a lot of material together. When you guys get ready to go into a new project like this one, how do you guys kind of blueprint it and get it to reality? How does that happen? How do you work together?
Well, John and I, for many years since we started this thing of 7, 8 years ago, we even partially during the pandemic, after it was the worst of it was over, we get together almost every Friday here at my house. I got a beautiful music room, and we just play. And then we get an idea. Well, try this tune. John will come up with something, and then oh yeah, that's cool. Let's put that on our next project, and so on. And we build from that a mix of standards, and we all each write originals too. And then we get enough tunes together to make a CD. We've followed through with it. Just it's been one of the hippest musical things in my whole life, and I've done a lot of hip musical things.
Yeah, for sure.
We start off when I get to Jim's home. We sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk about things. A lot of things. We really share a love of history, so we do a lot of that. And Jim shows me a new book he's got. And we go through that. But when we talk about music, and it could start anyway. Like on the way over, I just heard a Jerry Mulligan tune. Oh yeah, Jerry Mulligan, and then we start talking about our love for Jerry Mulligan, and that leads us to when we go upstairs to play. Hey, let's try this Jerry Mulligan tune, and pretty soon that gets worked into a project. I remember, Jim, when we were doing in the beginning, it was like well, now we got two Jerry Mulligan tunes. Hey, why don't we go to Chuck Mangione? We'll do a couple of his tunes. And anyway, that's how the project came together.
Yeah,
It's
it's John and I are 40 days apart in age.
wow.
Young, we're both young,
Yeah.
and so our life experiences are pretty close together. And like I said, we're history buffs and political allies and other things, but we're it's like a brotherhood, very
But
close.
yeah, and that's the thing I was going to get to. And before that, it's like that's the true nature of improv. You just kind of let life happen, and Mulligan will come up on the radio, right? But I don't think I think the listener out there, and I don't come from a musician standpoint, and the more I get around you cats and I see how you roll, I realize there is a lot that people need to understand about the good communication and good feelings that go through the musicians that are making music, whether it's in a live environment or in a studio. It's very clear when I listen to you two that you guys have a really good rapport together. I mean, it just it exudes, and I don't know if that's something that's and you don't even have to try to do it because you guys already feel it. So I think that's the beauty of what you guys do, that you can tell there's a good communication. And any good album, whether it's Mulligan or Miles or whatever, it's like if you feel good with what you're doing, it's going to come out in the horn or in on the guitar or whatever you're playing.
Well,
Yeah,
it's, I've meeting up with John and making music together is just changed my life. He's taught me to be a much better jazz player, how to create solos, how to trust myself and just move on through it, be melodic, things that are not common to tuba players. I mean, this is an instrument that is either played poorly or up real high like a trombone or out of tune or other things. And I refuse to do any of that stuff. I got to play it well. And he's changed my life, man. I'm going to embarrass him here, but he
yeah.
knows that. I talk about it all the time.
It
I
and
wish my wife Ginger could be hearing this.
I'll send her a copy when we're done.
Okay, good.
You know, the one thing about you guys too is you package this so well. Like the name of the album feels so good. There's no mixed messages. There's no anything you have to preen beneath the layers. It's right there. It feels so good. And I love the artwork. There's this kind of minimalist
Yeah.
bouncing colors that come out. It just feels good. Who does all of that? Who does all of the
I've got a nephew. His name is Christian Bond, who lives in Mobile, Alabama, and he's a graphic artist. And I just asked him to give me some examples on the first album, and he came up with a couple cool things. And since then, he's done all I think seven of them now. He always comes up with interesting things. This one is everybody calls it retro. Retro.
yeah,
I'm
totally.
not quite I'm not quite sure what that means, but you probably do. But anyway, I think it's striking
It
cover.
totally is. Yeah, it totally pops. So this is going to kick off a tour of 9 universities performing and teaching master classes. That has to be pretty cool, huh? To get out on the road and get
Well, that's what I finished 48 years of teaching at USC, and I decided I've got quite an act with jazz and 1,500 movies, and I've got a story to tell. Plus, I have composed a ton of music for band, for chamber music. So I'm taking it on the road to these colleges. I'm doing 9 of them. I've already done 3. I was at Indiana University last week.
yeah.
And by the way, there's a good chance I'll come to KU in next academic year. I've been
Okay.
invited. I don't know what time yet, but I'll let you know for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Yeah, that's Matt Otto's up there. There's a lot of really good cats there swinging up there.
Well, it's a great music school, and I have my wife and I give endowed scholarships at 45 universities.
Wow.
And these are all schools that I've been in Miami now. I've been in Central Arkansas. I've been in Indiana. I'm going to Michigan, going to Southern Mississippi. I'm going to South Carolina, New Mexico. It's just all over the country, and
And
still doing my gigs here.
Totally. Well, and that's the thing. You're so prolific with what you've done in your career. It has to feel good to plant new seeds into the younger minds that are out there that are receptive to what you're doing.
I hope so. I've been a teacher all my life, and I've had wonderful students, and I sort of have a one-man crusade to bring the tuba into the jazz world in a where I play in a normal tuba register, not try to play it up high like one of the problems is getting above the bass line.
Yeah.
The bass player, if you have a bass player, because bass players are in my same register, and a flat 9 sounds like a wrong note. It's a
Yep.
half step away from the root. And John has the way he voices and revoices his guitar. It just I don't know. It just makes me sound right. It sounds right when I play it in that register. And I'm on this crusade to make sure that young tuba players think of improvisation as part of their future, because it is, because so many guys are doing everything now on the tuba, and I hope I have some influence on that. All my
You know,
compositions have some kind of stuff in it, pretty much. A little bit of improvisation.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to add, in terms of improvisation, and but it all starts with melody.
Yeah.
And Jim has a beautiful way to express the melody, and the fact that it's happening in such a with low tones, and he has such resonance, and I don't know, they're like fluffy notes down there. They're it's just really wonderful. I guess, I mean, I'm coming from Jerry Mulligan, so I'm
Yeah.
down that end anyway.
Sometimes we'll play a melody, maybe something that John's composed even, and I'll say, well, do you want me to play it in this octave or an octave higher? Right? He always likes the lower octave because there's a resonance to it. And it surprises me because you'd think that would be the hardest one for listeners to understand or hear. But the way it's recorded, the way we do it, it just sounds right, I think.
I always have to turn your CDs up. I will tell you that.
Well, you've been a wonderful partner in helping us, get the word out to the world, and
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love the music. And I'm curious, so this is your 23rd album, and you guys have collaborated so much. How does this work? How do the blueprints roll out? Do you guys go in thinking, all right, we're going to do one a year, or we're going to do this? Or is it kind of like catching Mulligan on the radio, where you're like, this just makes sense. This is what we're going to do. How do you guys creatively come up with your blueprint?
Well, it takes usually weeks or months to do it. We've done almost one a year in recent years, and uh, part of it has to do with how much you can afford. It's expensive. We do everything musicians union. Everything is done correctly with a great engineer. And LA is full of great musicians.
Yeah.
And you'll notice on this particular album, we have four more guys from the David Angel Band, who are a couple of them are new members of the band, and they're just wonderful. And speaking of which, Kansas City, Bill Booth is featured on this album playing polka dots and moonbeams. And he's the most versatile. I think he's the greatest, most versatile trombone player in the world.
Yeah.
He's principal for John Williams and principal of the LA Opera.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can play everything from jazz to rock and roll.
Yeah.
And he's one of your guys,
Yeah.
Joe.
Absolutely. No, I know him well. And David Angel released an album during the pandemic. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
Absolutely was one of my favorite
Out on the
albums.
coast.
out
What's
on the
that?
coast.
Yes.
I
Just
produced that.
oh my. That to this day, I mean it almost throws my whole body into just like I love that album. I listened to it over and over again, and I remember specifically during that time period of 2020 that I really honed in on that album because it just had that warm honey like Mulligan. It just took you back to this feeling that was beautiful. It's the reason why we love jazz. It's the reason why we listen to music.
Yes, it is.
Well, David would love to hear you say those things because he was depressed about some serious eye problems he has, and he wasn't able to write. And so I decided I'm going to produce this thing, and we come up with triple CD,
Yeah.
and it is a masterpiece. I wish I
Yes.
could have gotten the Grammys to even listen to the darn thing, but
Oh man, you should have won. Yeah.
it's I keep trying, but I don't get any attention at all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's there forever anyway, Joe.
100%. And it's forever going to be in my heart. I love that album. Absolutely do.
Well, the David's band is continuing. We play every Thursday, and he's replaced a few people. A couple of people retired, but one of them was Bill Booth, who
Yeah.
has replaced in the trombone chair. And Bill is my best friend on the planet.
Yeah.
Like I said, anybody that can play jazz and opera and do it all great is special. And David loves him too.
Yeah.
So that's how this came about.
So the one thing I love getting the word out there and getting your music out there, but as we kind of touched at top, how hard it can be to be in this world because the revenue stream isn't there. What's the best way for people to pick up this album or your previous albums? Where should they go? How can they benefit you the most by consuming your music?
Well, I hate to advertise the digital version, but it's everywhere now. Finally, this took a little while to get this particular album out because of issues with the distributor, but uh, it's out now and it's available that way. There are physical CDs available from me, jimself.com, my website, and there are some from Bandcamp also.
Okay.
Those are the only places right now that nobody seems to be buying physical CDs, and I almost sell none anymore. But they are available if you look, okay? And
Yeah.
it's going to be all over the place in digital. And
Well,
that's
I will tell you this. I get so many CDs in the mail that around Halloween, when I've exhausted them and I've ripped down what I use for my show, I hand them out to kids and it makes them so excited. So there's a good chance that your music ended up in a Halloween basket and it could have planted a seed for the kid to love jazz or love the tuba or love the guitar. So just so you know,
Yeah,
it,
that's how it happens, man.
yeah, you just
Yep.
plant that seed. So, talk to me a little bit about the university tour, anything that's coming up, any of the good news for each of you respectively and together to get the word out to everybody.
well, I'm going to I got few weeks off here but I'm doing tons of gigs here in LA. I'm doing couple weeks of Nutcracker and symphony jobs basically.
Yeah.
But in middle of January, I'm going to University of South Carolina, Southern Mississippi.
Okay.
And then in early February, I'm going to University of Michigan and then to the University of South Carolina. In March, I'm going to the University of New Mexico. And then in April, I'm going to Bowling Green University in Ohio and University of Arkansas in
Okay.
Fayetteville. That's this year.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm healthy and strong, I'm going to try to book a whole bunch of them next year.
Okay.
And I'm not a young man, so I don't know where my health's going to go. But I'm gonna go as long as it as as I'm able. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I have a something tonight. Tonight at Vibratos, they're having a tribute for John Paisano,
Okay.
Oh, wow.
who was he was just a great guitarist, and we used to, and the founder of Guitar Night here and and they have quite a program. Jim Fox is helping John's wife to put it together. I'm a little when I think about it, but I'm there's going to be a bunch of pairings of guitar players.
Yeah.
I'll be playing with Pat Kelly, and each of us does a couple of tunes, and there'll be I don't know how many guitar players there tonight, so
It'd be hard to get tickets for that.
yeah.
Didn't even know about it till just now. But and I unfortunately I have a cold. I don't want to go in
Yeah,
public.
when they told me about it, that they said unfortunately I couldn't even bring a guest. That's because it's already full.
Wow.
But it's going to be it'll be special.
Yeah. Well, be careful up there in Michigan in February because it's not going to be LA weather.
Yeah, I know. I'm booking my flights so I have a little leeway for snowstorms or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep, it happens up that way. Gentlemen, it's always so great to catch up. I'm glad that I got to see you in living color again. Thank you very much for putting out such wonderful music. I'm looking forward to again having it on Neon Jazz. So thank you. And I look forward to the next time we meet up.
Will
Thank you
this
so
in,
much. Thank you.
will this interview be available or will it be on your show at a certain time, or is it just
I shoot the darts all over the place. So it's going to be an interview on YouTube because we got visuals, and then I'm going to have it as an audio, and then I'll take clips from our interview here and I'll put it on the show when I play the music. So I'll send all the links out to you.
I like to because so many people want to be see it
Yeah,
or hear it. Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, we're gonna get it all the way out there. So again, thank you, and I appreciate it. I look forward to the next time.
There will be another one in January. We're country album, a
Okay,
jazz country album.
okay, cool. I dig
Check it
it.
out.
I